Hey guys, it's Teach Me Tuesday. It is one of my favorite days of the week so that we can gather here to give you guys some great information on what's going on in the market. Today is all about a market update. So if you was ever wondering the question, is it the right time to buy? What rates are doing? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? What does all this stuff mean to me? You tuned into the right episode today. So what we're going to do is kind of get started. LaShawn Abraham and Wilmot Berry here, and just kind of talk about what's kind of going on in the market today. So let's jump into the magic question that I think that everybody wants to know is always interest rates, right? I think
Right.
I've gotten a couple of emails from my mortgage company saying rates have dropped, refinance now.
Mhm.
Is this true or is it just clickbait? I think is what people really want to know. And so the honest answer to that question, and we can kind of get into that, is yeah, rates are kind of coming down some. When I say some, sometimes people kind of take that and run like, oh my gosh, rates are 2% again. No,
Mhm.
not quite. Rates have come down some, meaning that if the average rate was 6%, you may be able to get something in the high fives. Usually, interest rate kind of moves in increments of eighths. So sometimes the
Mhm.
rate may drop by an eighth to a quarter to a half and so forth. And so that will kind of give you an indication that the economy must be doing a little bit better and that there's opportunity, to maybe take advantage of getting approved for a higher price point, or if you're trying to pull money out, the sky's the limit. So I don't know, Wilma, do you get asked a lot, I guess, by your clients about rates? They usually ask, that question to realtors.
Yeah, I do get questions about that, and me, I always kind of defer to the lender. I always, but don't get me wrong, I know where rates are in
Yeah.
general, okay?
Mhm.
And but I almost always kind of defer to my finance person, my lenders when it comes to rates because it's different strokes for different folks. And but I will say this, I was watching something recently. I try to keep my eye on what's going on with the Fed and everything. Listening to Jerome Powell. For those of you who don't know who Jerome Powell is, he's the Fed chairman. Okay, he's the one that kind of determines whether to keep rates um, steady or increase rates or decrease rates. The last month, he kept them the same, kept them steady. He didn't drop them. Some people, wanted him to drop the rates to kind of help the real estate market in general, but now they kind of kept him steady. I do believe that we have to be strategic in how we, you know, change interest rates because, I it it's not that simple, just to cut rates. Cut rates, hey, everything is great, No, we have to be strategic with it and make sure we're, what I'm saying, making sure that interest rates are dropped strategically so that helps the housing market and there's not this frenzy going on with the market. I just think we have to be very strategic when it comes to that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point, and I think that people should definitely know and pay attention to that because when they see that the Fed has dropped rates, right, that
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage interest rates have dropped because they are two
Absolutely.
separate things. Now, the Fed fund rate impacts mortgage interest rates, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't work at the same time all the time. And so when
Absolutely.
people think, I mean, it's marketing, like I said, it's clickbait, it's strategy when the media is putting out, those sound bites that rates have dropped.
Right.
My advice will always be, which would be the same thing you said, refer to someone that works in the industry, get with your mortgage lender to actually give
Right.
you rate quotes, because we did a whole video before talking about rates. So I would definitely tell you guys to go back and watch that episode because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to spend the majority of our time talking about rates, but rates are important because it does impact the your affordability and your buying power and things like that. So seeing that as of August of 2025, mortgage rates have tended down some, trended down some, which is a good thing for the
Mm-hmm.
consumer. So let's talk about buyers' behavior, right? What are you seeing with the behavior of buyers? I know you do. I know you work with, both buyers and sellers, but right now we are kind of in a buyer's market. So do you see that more buyers are apprehensive, or do you feel that they're kind of a little bit more like eager and ready to just go and buy? What have you been seeing?
Well, um, I'm seeing that buyers are being very uh selective
Mm, okay.
right now, and very well, because the inventory has increased. So they can be a little bit more picky with finding the right home, right? So like they're being more shoppers now, right? Um,
Mhm,
they are they are they are seeing that prices are starting to soften. You
mhm,
know, we've seen some recent price drops lately in the market. I was looking at some data, and we'll go deep into the numbers probably on a high level a little bit later. But I was looking at some data and looking at different parts of the U.S. where up in the Northeast, prices have risen. Okay. In parts of the South, prices have dropped. Okay. So it depends on where you are. You will be in a different market, and you have to make sure you're going into the market with the right strategy in order to get the home you want. So yeah.
So are you seeing like the demand with buyers? I know you said that they're a lot more picky. Are you
hmm
are they more so picky? Are you seeing more like from a cosmetic standpoint, or are they more so picky with like I think I do get I just like to be honest. Sometimes I do get a little annoyed with people when they
hmm
say, "Oh, I ain't paying that for that house," or "This house ain't worth X price." So do you feel like they're getting a lot more pickier with just the property and like the size, age, square footage? Where do you kind of see the selection there?
That's a good question. And when I think about that question, and from dealing with recent buyers,
Yeah.
I think they're price shop, right?
Mhm. Okay.
Because if you look at the data and you see like prices over the last couple of years have still been doing this, you
Mm.
know, kind of rising. And I've seen buyers, oh, I'm not paying that for that house. Oh,
Yeah.
I might as well build what I want
Yeah.
and whatever like that. And I'm seeing that. I
What do
do
you
believe.
say to that though? Like, I mean, as a realtor, I mean, I know you probably,
Mhm.
and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I know that
No,
you
no.
work hand in hand with that client. You talk to them more than like we do as the lender. We're just
Right,
kind of working with the numbers, but you're in there with them,
right.
pavement, boots on the ground, looking at
Mhm,
these properties. So when
mhm.
someone says that I don't want to pay this for that, but that's the price, you know what I mean? How do you kind of help them navigate through that?
But you know what happens is, over time, dealing with buyers, as we continue to shop for homes
Hmm.
and they actually start seeing the market and what you're getting for certain prices, then you start seeing they start to then develop uh certain value for different properties, or appreciation for different properties when they see it. So like just from dealing with a few that have been looking for a while, and it's like, oh man, something pops on the market and they see all of the things that they want in a house, but they also see the price point, but they go to something else where they have to sacrifice some of the things that they want. And they say, well, am I willing to sacrifice these items just
Hmm.
because of the price point? Okay. When they can afford it. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
a different scenario, LaShawn, is those that, and I think this is a big issue that we're having right now with the current interest rates, is affordability,
Yeah.
right? Prices are steady rising, but guess what? A lot of income isn't rising.
That's a
So,
great point.
that being said, I think what would happen with with some interest rate cuts would be, hey, you do make those homes more affordable, but understand this. This is the catch with that. You make the homes more affordable, people can afford more of a house at that price point, looking at, oh man, my mortgage won't be but XYZ a month.
Yeah.
But guess what? You invite a whole lot more buyers into the market. at that point.
It's true.
Okay. And what happens? The demand increases. And what happens? Prices continue to rise. Okay. Because there's an increase in demand when the supply is still kind of where it's at. So that's kind of the, the catch and the things we have to balance when we talk about interest rate cuts, and also current buyers in this market, looking at what homes they can afford and what homes they can buy. I've been dealing with individuals that they can definitely afford the property. They just are ticket shop with the home prices. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good,
mhm,
good stuff because I think that's super important for people to know and understand. And I think the thing that I run into a lot with people is that they don't quite grasp the reality of the whole should I buy now or should I wait?
yeah,
Because the cost of waiting to buy is more
right,
expensive. Because exactly to your point, if rates do drop, if we do get to, let's say, 3, 4% rates at some point, then exactly what you said, that's only going to increase the more buyers that kind of flood the market. And so now you have this huge supply of buyers that's all looking for houses. So that's then going to cause the prices of the houses to go up. So then those houses that was either sitting or not selling at the time, they can now jack the price up to try to get it. So yeah.
so let me, since we were talking about this, right? I got some data pulled up, and I pulled it up because I just want you to know I'm not just saying this just because I'm a realtor, but I'm saying this because I was looking at, so okay, where are prices compared to, let's say, 3 years ago, right?
Mhm.
And that's a short time frame. That's not really
Yeah.
a long time. But like I was looking at, let's just say Charleston. I'm just use Charleston County. I'm pulling this data from the MLS. So the median sales price right now at the end of July for Charleston County was around. This is Charleston, guys. So don't flip. 621,000. Right. Okay.
Wow.
Well, it's just 621, right? But if you go back to if you go back to 2022, right? 2022 in July, end of July, median sales price was 507,000. Okay. So over $100,000, hundred and some odd $1,000 in increase in home sales price from July 2025 to July 2022. So 3 years. So, and I did the same thing for Orangeburg. Orangeburg, one thing I realized about Orangeburg is steady, guys. I'm not just trying to toot my horn about Orangeburg, but Orangeburg is very steady, very gradual. It doesn't really see a bunch of dips and highs like that. But the median sales price, 245 for Orangeburg.
What year
Um,
was that?
this is this year,
Okay.
July 2025. Right? Like you thought
I thought that was 3
what
years
what
ago.
year was that? Like 1975? Like but then if you go where Orangeburg was in 2022, um man, we are hovering right above
Okay.
$212,000.
So not
So
too much of an increase, but it has been some.
still going up. You know what I'm saying? Still going up. So that same house you were looking at, and you said, well, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. But guys, I'm gonna tell you this: if those interest rates drop, it's gonna be a different market. And that same house you was looking at, it's like, oh man, that house still available. Them interest rates drop. I'm gonna buy that bad boy.
Hey,
Guess what? That price might be higher. And you might look at it. You might look at it differently. So just something to think about as well.
that's good
Mhm.
information. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think people need to know. Because, like, once again, we got back. That goes back to my point I was making: the cost of waiting. Because over time, you know, whether
Mhm.
rates went up or down, the prices of homes didn't
Yeah.
go down. They may
Right.
have slowed in their increase, but they didn't drop in price. And so I think that is such a valid point to point out to people. So just
Mhm.
to kind of shift gears a little bit, we're going to talk about a little bit of lending updates before we run out of time. I feel
Oh
like the
man.
time goes by so fast.
Golly.
But as far as for in our world, when it comes to new loan programs and guideline changes and things like that, the major thing that happened over the course of the last few months is that there has been a lot of updates with individuals who are not U.S. citizens. So for those realtors or either clients who may not have like a valid green card or visa and things like that, things have kind of tightened a little bit. It made that a little bit more difficult and challenging to get approved. Right now, we can't do any type of government lending like FHA or anything like that for those particular people. So they will have to be able to truly qualify for a conventional loan. Another update that I'm seeing is a lot more people are asking for USDA loans. And so I've been in the business now, going on 10 years. And in the beginning of my career back in 2016, I've done a ton of USDA loans. But then they kind of tampered off. A lot more people just wasn't, living rural or asking for it, wasn't as high of demand. But lately, within the last 2 or 3 months, I've been getting a lot more calls about USDA loans. And I'm thinking, especially where I'm at, in Somerville, the Charleston, surrounding Charleston area, Charleston is getting so expensive. Charleston is also getting a lot more congested. So a lot more people are kind of, wanting, I'll call it the new theme is they don't want to be on top of their neighbors. They don't want an HOA. They don't want, and they want some land. That seems to be the thing that people are looking for. And so they're branching out to more rural areas and asking for USDA loans. And so USDA is kind of back on the horizon where they can get 100% financing, and it's a little bit more flexible guidelines than FHA, but it's a great loan program option. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in my world. So before we wrap up, Wilma, is there anything else you wanted to update the people on?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some quick facts, real quick, guys. Just something y'all can take with you, so you kind of know in general the housing market. This is a snapshot, national snapshot, so you kind of know what's going on a national level. Median sales price dipped a little bit in Q2 to 410,000. Okay, so prices, like I said, prices are softening some. Okay, so just understand that is a thing going on right now. Homes are staying on the market longer now. Okay, and I'm looking at some data, some local data, right now. At the end of July 2025. Orangeburg, we was looking at around 84 days on market, which is pretty high. All right. Compared to, where it was, let's just say 3 years ago. I'm doing a 3 year, so you just kind of understand where I'm coming from. If I look at July, man, 26 days on market. Okay. So it has been, homes are staying on the market longer. I think that's another reason why prices are dipping. Okay. As well. Another thing, Zillow National Value Index is hovering around 369, showing just a little slight annual increase in price point from an annual level. All right. Listing inventory is up, so supply is increasing. And also, like I said, price reductions to be around 20% nationwide. Okay, in the month of July. Just want to give you some data so you can kind of know in general what this market is doing. If you want some more specific data on your market here in the Orangeburg surrounding areas, I have it. I can definitely email you a report. You can contact me, DM me, call me by phone. I can definitely send you that data so you can have it, so you can know what your real estate market is doing.
I love that, Wilma. And definitely, guys, take him up on his offer. Let him definitely keep you guys well informed about the market, because I think it's super important for people to understand, not just from just a regular purchase or hey, I'm just selling, but just as an investment, right? You want to know the markets that you're investing in and how this will impact you right now and how it will impact you long term. So guys, once again, this is another episode of Teach Me Tuesday. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us, Gavin included. I know he wasn't able to join us today, but ask us questions, send us a topic. If there's anything that's kind of looming and on your hearts for us to discuss, we're more than happy to always bring that topic to our next episode. So until next time, guys, you guys have a great week, and we will see you guys next week as well.
Peace.
Bye.